Hi everyone, welcome to my tutorial on Python functions. In this video we're going to look at functions and how they can help you write better and more efficient code. Functions in Python, or any language really, are specific blocks of code that are typically designed to do one job. We're going to learn how to define functions in Python and how to call those functions we define. We'll also see how to send variables or arguments to those functions and get return values as well. Python functions are very easy to create, so let's first cover some of the basics to get started. As I mentioned, the function performs one job typically, and in this example we have a simple function that just prints out some text. Every function in Python begins with the def command, which is short for define. This is followed by the name of the function. There are some guidelines for naming the function, but basically the name should be in lowercase with the words separated by an underscore. The name needs to be followed by parentheses. In our example here, the parentheses will be empty, but we'll see later how to put parameters for the function in these parentheses. Finally, you will need to end the line with a colon. The following line will be indented and contain the code we want to execute when the function is called. We'll simply type the print statement to print "hello there." If we run this program, nothing will happen because there's no code calling the function. So we'll call the function down here. You must use the parentheses after the function name as well. When you run the program now, it calls the function and executes its one little task. This is a very basic example of a function, but let's make this function a little more interesting and give it two parameters, a name parameter and a program language. We'll change the print statement to say, "Hi, my name is," and insert name, and my favorite programming language, and we'll insert that. This function now expects two arguments to work correctly. The variables here are called parameters, as in the function takes two parameters. When calling this function, you must send two arguments. The arguments go here. These terms are often used interchangeably, but best to stick to these definitions for clarity. When the function is called with the arguments Paul and Python, they are assigned to the function parameters name and language. The print statement in the function is then executed and the following is printed out. My name is Paul and my favorite programming language is Python. When we change the arguments to John and Java, it substitutes these arguments into the function parameters and prints them in a string like this. So now you can send multiple arguments to a function. These multiple arguments are called positional arguments, and the reason obviously is that they need to be in line with what the function expects. They need to be in the correct position. If we change the order here, for example, and put the programming language first and the name second, we're not going to get what we expect in the print output. You can get around this by defining the variables in your function call. For example, if we say language equal to Java and name equal to Joe, the print statement now works correctly even though these arguments are not in the correct order. We have the programming language first and the name second, but it still works. One final way to receive arguments to a function is by using default values. In our example, we could have the programming language defaulting to Python, which means that in our function call, we don't need to specify a programming language. The function has two parameters, but if we only send one, it will still work because it is defaulted to the programming language value of Python. If we do include two arguments with a language value other than the default, it will override the default and work fine. So there are three ways to send arguments to a function: positional arguments, keyword arguments, and finally the default parameters. One thing to note with the default parameter is that it has to be at the end of the parameter list of the function. The function processes all of the arguments that are sent to the function first and then uses the default for the remaining, so they have to be at the end of the function parameter list. So in our example, if we put the default equal to Python first, the function would not work. That has to be at the end. As you begin to learn Python, it's best to use positional arguments because they're the most straightforward until you get more familiar with functions. The final item for this video is the return statement. The return statement returns a value from the function to the function call. It returns the output of the function. So this is a little different than we were doing so far, where we had the function actually print the output of the function. Now we're going to call the function and accept the result back. We typically assign the result to a variable, and as you can see, when the function is called now, nothing happens. We have to print out the variable to see the results of the function call. So that covers the basic functions, and this should be enough to leverage functions in your code. The code used in this video is available on my GitHub page at the link below. In the next video, we're going to look at sending objects to functions such as lists and dictionaries. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.